Yes,
Is
ma'am.
it okay? To Renaissance
Yes, ma'am.
period. So just remember that is the age of Elizabeth, right? But now we come to, there's not much difference between age of Elizabeth and Jacobean period. Why it's one after the other. Now King Jacob has come on the throne. James, his English name is James. So James I has come to the throne of England, and Shakespeare is still writing. He began writing in the age of Elizabeth. That means Elizabeth was on the throne, and now also he is continuing. And his major tragedies, in fact, came in the age of in Jacobean era, right? But he is still known as Renaissance dramatist, right? Now, King Lear is one of the tragedies. Shakespeare has written several tragedies, comedies, and historical plays. Okay, most of his tragedies, the theme has been picked up from some part of history or legend or some kind of myth, right? So here, what is the myth? There is one King Lear in pre-Roman age. Okay, so Leir. That's the spelling. So this story has been the source of inspiration for Shakespeare to write the play King Lear. Right? So I don't know the name of this actor, but he is certainly he gives the best expression to the uh, portrayal of King Lear that you will see in the drama. See the age, he is octogenarian, 80 years old, more than 80 years old. He's in his 80s. Okay?
So, ma'am,
And yes,
King Lear was an actual king in history in the pre-Roman age.
I'm coming to that. I'm coming to that, right? So, this man, he is an octogenarian. He has ruled for almost forever, for almost 60 years. In this is the something which is there in legend, you may say, because it is so early that at that time things could not be documented. Okay, so Shakespeare, the inspiration that Shakespeare has taken from this pre-Roman Celtic king is from the king Lear, Leir, and he had ruled England, that part of England, for more than 60 years. Okay, so that pain of the old age, the arrogance of the rule of 60 years, and that pride, right? See his aura. Now, this is one of the influential plays of uh, Shakespeare, right? Very influential play. By influential means it has been a grand success always. Okay, so very powerful play. It was written between 1603 and 1606. The setting is Britain, and he is influenced by mythological pre-Roman Celtic king Lear. Mythological, exactly, I didn't say, because mythology is usually a story of kings and a story of gods and goddesses. But here we do not have gods and goddesses as such. He is king, right? Pre-Roman means in England it was first Celtic people that were living there, but then Romans invaded, and Roman Empire was there was no Roman Empire at that time. Even Rome was in the stage of being formed, right? So, uh, just wait. Yeah. So, influenced by mythological pre-Roman King Lear. Now, the theme is in this play that you find is about nature versus culture. What the nature of the human being is like, and what society people they expect from us. This may be one of the theme of the play. Then it's like a role of legitimacy, question of hierarchy. Legitimacy means who is legitimate and what is illegitimacy, lawful and unlawful, you may say, legal or illegal, right? And the question of hierarchy. Hierarchy means everywhere around us we see that things are governed by power. One who is at the lowest level of hierarchy follows the upper one, and then upper one has authority over the lower one but follows the upper one, right? And on the top is someone who is all powerful. So some kind of these have been the enduring themes. That means researches have been carried out in this area in the play King Lear, right? These were the most important thing that at the very primary stage we should understand, right? Now, there's someone again. Okay. Yeah. So, okay. Now this is the character map, or I think, see, you see three women here, right? These are the three daughters of King Lear, right? Now we are just sticking to what Shakespeare has said, Shakespearean play. Okay, Shakespeare's this play's ending has been changed many times because people did not like the ending of this play, the way Shakespeare ended this play. So, in the next age, people were not ready to accept it as such, and so they did not accept it, and the ending was changed, and then the play was staged. And again, after some time, we came back to the original ending, but originally also in two folios, in two different ways. Two folios means two drafts, two different endings are there, but that does not change the play. Okay, so I am going according to Shakespeare's play that is in your syllabus. Now, to understand, as I said, that it would be better that if you understand through this character map. In the center, you see is King Lear. Is it visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. There is King Lear. Okay. Then there is one daughter named Goneril. Then other is Regan and Cordelia. Cordelia, Regan, they are shown at the Cordelia and Regan, and then Goneril. Okay. Could you see? Could you find it? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Three daughters. This king has three daughters. The eldest one is Goneril. Then there is Regan. And the youngest daughter is Cordelia. Okay. Now, Goneril is married to Duke of Albany, right? And Regan is married to Duke of Cornwall. At the top it is given. Cordelia is married to King of France, right? Then the royalty was divided into, there was hierarchy as we say. So Earl is there, Earl of Kent, Earl of Gloucester. Okay, these two you find here. So the Earl of Kent is very loyal to King Lear, and similarly Earl of Gloucester is also very loyal to King Lear. Okay, now this Earl has two sons, Edgar and right, Edgar and Edmund. Then these are two servants. Oswald is a servant, a steward to Goneril. Steward is servant, steward to Goneril. And there is a fool who serves King Lear. Now in this character map, all the characters who will come at the beginning and will remain till the end, they have been given. All the major characters who will be playing some part. You see that this map is divided by a dotted line. Dotted line means that there is a main plot, and in this main plot a subplot is introduced. Okay. Edgar is the legitimate son of Earl of Gloucester, and Edmund is the bastard son of Earl of Gloucester. Right? So this is subplot. This is how Shakespearean tragedy is a bit of variation from the Greek tragedy. In Greek tragedy, there was no subplot. But when this tragedy, classical norms were followed in Renaissance age, they took these classical norms, and with that they also blended their national taste that I told you, right? So this is a blending, that the main plot has subplot also, right? The subplot will actually highlight the main plot. It will serve to highlight the theme of the play. Theme is not different. Is it okay? Can we move forward?
Yes, ma'am.
Now we come to the outline of the play. King Lear is the aging king. He is octogenarian, and he knows that he has ruled for long. And then his three daughters, Goneril, Regan, these two are married, and Cordelia is still unmarried. Now,
Ma'am, Cordelia is married to King of France, no?
no, that is the entire chart. This you should, the story will go on. Na? Entire story
Okay.
is summed up in that chart. When the play begins, okay, we are talking about the beginning of this play. When the play begins, at that time, in the opening scene, Goneril is married, and Duke of Albany. Regan is married, Duke of Cornwall, and Cordelia is unmarried. Okay. Now in Act 1, it opens with the scene that the King Lear, he comes to the court and he spreads out a sheet of the map of Britain, of his kingdom, right? And Earl of Kent is there present, Earl of Gloucester is there, they are all present there. and daughters are present. And then there is King of France and Duke of Burgundy. They have come as a guests there. Okay, they have come as suitors to Cordelia. They are both want to be chosen as a husband to Cordelia. Alright, now the king announces that today is the day that when I would like to retire, give my charge of kingdom and take rest. So today I have to decide my inheritance. At this point, he says that he would want to see, right, how much daughters love him and who loves him the most, and according to that he would divide his kingdom. This is what he says, right? Now we would go to the play and we would be reading that play. At that time we would analyze the lines, but what he says is, meantime we shall express. We means I. Kings used to say B for I. So meantime we shall express our darker purpose. Give me the map here. Know that we have divided. I am reading those lines from the text. Know that we have divided in three our kingdom, and it is our fast intent to shake all cares and business from our age. My age is so much that I want to shake away, I want to give off all the worries, and I would want to give my kingdom to my three daughters, right? So just tell me, how much do you love me? With this question, immediately the first one to respond is the eldest daughter. Okay, now this eldest daughter, what she says, there are two people waiting, just wait, to be admitted. Yeah. So okay, so it is a just wait, the screen is stuck somewhere. Nikita Chaurasia, have you done something with your computer? Okay, now it's okay. So these are the lines. It is Goneril who is first to respond to it, and she says, "Sir, I love you more than the words can wield the matter. Dearer than eyesight, space, liberty." That means I can be blind for your love. I am blind for your love. I can give away my all the riches. I can give away my liberty, everything. No less than life with grace, health, beauty, honor. I do love you. Okay, so her basically what she is speaking in very flattering terms. In the similar way, after, when Goneril says this, what King Lear does, he takes this pen and he draws a line, and the larger part of the kingdom is given to Goneril. Right? Then he says, Regan, come on, you tell me, how much do you love me? Now, Regan also does the same thing. She also flatters her father, and she says that her only love in life is her father. Right? Now, actually, King Lear, Cordelia has been dearest to the king, right? But and the king is expecting that Cordelia is going to say something better than what Goneril and Regan has said. Okay, so when he is asking Cordelia, Cordelia says that uh, she loves him as much as the bond between father and daughter should be. So half of the love of her heart is for her father, and the other half is for her husband, whoever she marries to. Okay, so this angers the king. He's flared up, he's enraged. Okay, and Cordelia is then not given any part of the kingdom. Now, after dividing the kingdom, the king welcomes Burgundy and says that you have come here to marry Cordelia. So, are you willing to marry without any of the part of the kingdom that I have given her? I have got no relation with this daughter of mine. So, Duke of Burgundy refuses. Okay. Now, King of France comes to the scene, and King of France says that she is a fair lady. Fair lady means that she is a virtuous lady, and I would marry Cordelia. Now, what has happened? With a sudden, within few minutes, Cordelia has become Queen of France. Okay, so Cordelia becoming Queen of France goes along with King of France, and now her heart is broken because her father has refused to accept her love and has not given her any share. Okay, now this is what happens. Now actually in the play, as you go and you read that Regan and Goneril, after some time, they just first the king says that I'll live with my eldest daughter Goneril. And since he had been king, so he will not remain without knights. So he maintains that retinue of 100 knights. Knights means those who were along with the king, always they had been there serving king. So out of them, he takes only 100 knights. KNIGHTS. And with a retinue with a whole group of 100 knights, he moves to Goneril's place. Now, after some time, Goneril says that this is a luxury and she cannot afford to have further got 100 knights. So she reduces it to 50. And king does not like this. So there are some arguments and all. He feels that his daughter is not respecting him. So he says that now he will leave Goneril and will live with Regan. So he goes to the kingdom of Regan. Now what does Regan do? She says that she can permit him in the kingdom. He is just waiting and he has sent the servant to the kingdom. He is waiting outside kingdom. And the servant has gone, a messenger has gone there, that king is there waiting along with his knights. So Regan says that he can retain only 2 or 3 knights. 50 are not allowed here. Right. So again, king is hurt, and now the king, he just runs into the Heth. Heth means H-E-A-T-H. Heth means a place which is vast open and there are many trees and bushes, not very high. A dry land, marshy land, that is Heth. He is running there and he has almost lost his sanity. Now, at the same time, a storm comes. Okay, so this storm is, physical storm. At the same time, the mind of the king is also filled with storm. It is anger, it is sadness, it is grief, and now he remembers Cordelia. how she did not flatter him. So this is one part of the story. Now a messenger is being sent there to Cordelia that she can help her father. Her father is in danger and all these things. So Cordelia brings an army and she attacks the kingdom of her sisters. And during this, so many things are happening. It's written here. If you go through that, Goneril and in the last, it is basically these deaths. There are a series of deaths that are taking place, but no death is shown on the stage. Just remember this. Goneril dies off stage. Regan says that she is not feeling well, and then she dies. And in the last part, Cordelia is killed. And when Cordelia is killed, then it is King Lear, the father, who lifts up. This is the last scene of the play, where the king lifts up his youngest daughter, and he cries hard. And in the last part of the play, out of shock, because now he cannot bear everything, he does not want to become king now. So out of shock, you may say, out of insanity, now in this, for a short period, that sanity has returned to him. He has realized that he is holding his youngest daughter who loved him so much, and she came at just one message she got, and she came here and to help her father, to take care of the father. So here he dies on the stage. He collapses. Right? So basically, how the ending differs is that according to that mythological story of King Lear ruled for some time in England. This is the mythology, real mythology, that he ruled for some time and then he handed over the kingdom to Cordelia. But Shakespeare wanted to make it a tragedy. So there are two. One is a quarto version, another is a folio. Two drafts, you may say, broadly speaking. तो एक में क्या किया है शेक्सपियर ने? It is Edgar who becomes the king, and in the other, some other person becomes. So there is a variation that who becomes the king of the kingdom after death of Lear and Cordelia. That varies according to Shakespeare, but basically in Shakespeare's play, Lear and Cordelia, they both die. So it is very heart-rending play. When you go through this play and see the dialogues, the way they are delivered, you can also go through the YouTube video. There you find in YouTube this play, or in a movie form. You can watch the movie also, King Lear original. Right? So what are basically the themes of the play? The theme is something they are telling about family, king, daughters, father, son, Edgar of Earl of Gloucester, then the power struggle. This is also one of the theme of King Lear. Justice, how king divides his kingdom, and what is his parameter, what is his criteria of this division. Then language. Through language, a person communicates. So how emotions are displayed, that is also important. Then this gender, male, female. He has got daughters, doesn't have son, and daughters, what roles daughter as a women they are playing. Then gender, when you say Goneril, Regan, and there's a Edmund, when you go through the play, when we will be reading the play, at that time you will see how Edmund is trying to seduce, and these two sisters also in the last part of the play trying to seduce Edmund. Right? They are not loyal to their husbands. Then what kind of society was at that time when Renaissance society, what type of audience were there, what did they expect out of the play? what type of society is being portrayed in the play. Then about loyalty, whether it is between father, daughter, father, son, master, servant, or between friends, what value did loyalty have? And then compassion. Compassion means not just sympathy but love for humanity, bonding between human beings, understanding each other's emotions. So these are the various themes of King Lear that we will be doing. Then today I am just introducing you these plays. Who are the major characters here? First of all, you see King Lear himself. Okay, he's in the beginning you find how insecure he is, and he wants that the daughter should be very he wants all that flattering from his daughter, right? And yeah, then at the same time you feel that he is very cruel too, because based on the criteria is that whoever flatters is going to get his kingdom. But then gradually how he sets on his journey, and how he realizes that how to distinguish between children who really care in old age and who do not. How he realizes this. Then this daughter, youngest daughter, how well respected she is, how good she is, how compassionate she is, at the same time how confident she is, how courageous she is. So all those qualities of Cordelia will be seen in the play while we will be doing. Then Edmund is again a very important character. He is Gloucester's Earl of Gloucester's illegitimate son. That means he had some illegitimate relationship. Out of wedlock, out of marriage law, this son is born. Right? So since he does not get his share of respect in society, the father would not tell people that he is my son. He always remains with his father because he is also in the court, and father has helped him this much at least that he can live, but he will not accept that he is his biological son. So this man is always scheming. He is very deceitful. He cannot be loyal to anyone. Okay, why? Because he grapples with his own status. He wants respect, so he can do anything in order to get respect. He does not know difference between good and bad, moral and immoral. Then you have Earl of Gloucester. Now this Gloucester is a very loyal subject of junior of King Lear, and in the beginning he is not blind, but as the things happen in the play, as the actions take place, he becomes blind at certain stage. So this blindness is compared to this is very complicated, because actually we say that we see with our eyes, but at times we do not see with our eyes. King Lear is also blind to his flattery. Similarly, this man, he has been infidel, unfaithful to his wife. So maybe that is a kind of blindness, that he does not realize that he has got his commitment towards his wife, and he engages in some other relationship, and a son is also born, and he is not even doing justice to his son. So his family is torn apart. So that is also one kind of blindness. And then literally also he becomes blind in the middle part of the play. Then there is Earl of Kent, who is very loyal to King Lear, but he is banished by King Lear in the first scene itself. When he says that king is not doing, he raises his voice that king is not doing right thing, and he should take care of the third daughter also. This should not be the criteria of dividing the kingdom. Right? Then Edgar is the legitimate son of Gloucester, and he is very loyal and he is very true son. He has got a very good character. Regan is the second daughter. Again, she is very cruel. It is she who blinds Gloucester. Right? Then there is Goneril. Again, she is not loyal to anyone, neither her father nor her husband, nor her sister, right? So this is what we would see about these characters, how they are. Now, this was all about introduction of King Lear. Do you have to say anything?
No, ma'am.
So I think it would be better that next time when we have class, you go through Act 1 on your own. Okay. If you find any difficulty in understanding original play, you can read paraphrase. Okay, read that, and then in the next class, we would be reading Act 1 again. So whatever doubts you would be having from self-reading, that will be cleared. Okay, so just read the beginning of the play. So no doubts today? Can we leave?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. How did you find the story of the play?
Very
Ma'am,
interesting.
it's very interesting and tragic also.
Nice.
Yes.
Ending.
Yes, in the beginning you will feel very bad for King Lear, but at the end, after all, he is a poor father.
Ma'am,
And-
can we watch movie of King Lear in YouTube or in Google?
Yes, I think it's there.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, or at least you can have that. You can have that ethos and the at least that taste of it, essence of it, right? Even if you can see some short scenes, King Lear movie is there, and I think some episodes may also be there. So just watch that.
Okay, ma'am.
Ma'am, we won't be reading the whole play, no, because it's quite long. Would we be reading the whole play in class, I mean?
Actually, this is why I said that it's better that you read the play, mark the lines which were not very clear to you, and during classes we can do a fast reading. We can skip some parts which are not very important, we can skip them, which are very clear to you all, we can skip them. But the very important ones that are from the point of view of explanations and all that, we would be doing that in great detail. We can analyze those parts basically. But then you should read the entire play. That is very important. You should not skip any part. Okay? And you cannot skip. Basically when you start reading, I don't know हिंदी में अगर आप पढ़ने लग जाएंगे तो कैसा उसको ट्रांसलेट किया होगा, और फिर आप भारतीय पिता और भारतीय नहीं, just you have to be transported. That is what Aristotle also said. This is what Shakespeare also said, that basically you have to transport yourself to Renaissance England, and then there during those time how on the stage it was shown. This is what you will have to imagine. And then at the same time it has relevance even today, because same universal emotions, father son, father daughter, these are present even today also. So this issue is relevant even today also. So all these things should be there in your mind when you are reading that play, right? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So I
Thank you, ma'am.
attendance. I hope you have taken most welcome.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye,
Have a nice
ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye.